All right. Hello, everyone. Tyler James is back with another Comics Launch interview for you. My guest today is the award-winning writer of comics such as Sleeping Dogs, Alex Automatic, Heart of Steel, The Edge Off, and House of Sweets. And his latest project is called IND-XED, and it is it's crushing it. It's his latest and greatest launch yet. So welcome to Comics Launch, Fraser Campbell. How you doing, my friend?
I'm not bad, Tyler. How are you, mate?
Yeah. We were just talking in the pre-show about rolling with the punches here and everything that 2020 is giving us, but trying to find silver linings where we can. And the where we would usually connect would be New York Comic Con, and I was talking to our mutual friend and scoundrel John Lees, and he was lamenting not being in New York this week, and just all that that we're missing out on. But obviously, that wasn't meant to be here in 2020. How are things going for you? How are you holding up? And what are you missing most about 2020?
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, really. The thing I'm missing the most is Comic Cons, because, and the thing that's sort of most upsetting about 2020, we've managed to, I guess, muddle back to a position eventually where we can kind of do most things. We can shop relatively safely and all that kind of thing, and we can, we've been able, most of us at least, have been able to go back to work. Either from home or in a kind of COVID safe environment at work. But yeah, I mean, Comic Cons, I've really missed them this year. Just the social aspect, as well as seeing all the customers and people trying to punt your comics to people, and also the thing that really upsets me is that out of everything that I can think of, I guess Comic Cons are going to be one of the last things that are going to be able to come back, because it just depends so much on free movement of people. There's always so many people at these things, and it's just a constant stream of people going past your tables and stuff like that. And you're all in close proximity. Just fingers crossed for that vaccine.
Yeah, seriously. Well, Comic Con's loss has kind of been Kickstarter's gain. And I know that this latest launch for you is going spectacularly well. So let's start there. And I know we'll talk more about your history and other things that leading up to this latest launch. But let's bring us up to speed. What's IND-XED all about, and how is the launch going for you?
Well, yeah, IND-XED is what we've kind of labelled as a lo-fi sci-fi comic. It's a kind of Dust Bowl sci-fi, I guess. Steinbeck meets Philip K. Dick, I suppose, or Ray Bradbury, kind of a story. So it's kind of like a melancholy sci-fi story about a young woman called Meredith who wakes up one morning to find out that she's been indexed and actually sort of placed on a register of undesirable people, who are then sort of thereafter sort of treated as non-persons. People who aren't allowed to speak to them. They're not allowed to live anywhere. They can't work. They basically become ghosts. And it's a kind of, I guess, a kind of punitive measure in this society. One of the cruelest aspects of it is that you're never told why you've been placed on the index. However, she gets a clue from someone she comes across, who lets her know that there might be other people like her in this sort of big sort of nameless city. So it's about her journey towards there and what she finds there.
Yeah. And we'll give you a chance to gush a little bit about your creative team working. One of the things that I've always respected about you is you've got a great eye for putting together teams and high quality books. So tell us a little bit about the folks who are working with you on this one.
Well, yeah, it's a mega team on this one, to be honest. A long time ago, I learned that it's very important to get really good people around you, to make you look good, basically. So we've got Lucy Sullivan on art. Lucy is a fantastic artist and animator. She's also an award-winning creator in her own right. Her graphic novel last year, Barkin, got all kinds of accolades, and she's been noted on by in various quarters as somebody to watch. As you can see from the artwork, she certainly is that. She's done all her artwork on this one in Procreate for this. That's the first time she's sort of used an all digital approach, and it's turned out a really amazing looking project because of that. It's just added sort of all the sort of the sort of melancholy and sort of grittiness and the grimness of the script is all there in the artwork, and then some.
Yeah.
We've also got Hassan Sani El Hou on lettering, who is you pick up more or less any book these days. It's he's certainly got an evens chance of being the letterer on that book. So
yeah, he's a hard worker in the indie community, and I also know he from the editing standpoint, he's helping a lot of creators push their craft forward. So and with everything he does on panel by panel. So
yeah, not only a very hardworking letterer, but also edits one of the best process magazines about comics out there, panel by panel. Alistair Woods, who's a friend of mine, an illustrator and designer from Falkirk, who actually works for Rockstar. So if you are familiar with Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, you'll have seen Alistair's work. He designed a logo for us, and our friends Becca Carey, Paul Peart-Smith they've created variant covers for us, and Martin Simmons, the now I guess superstar artist of the smash hit The Department of Truth, has done a print for us, which is part of an exclusive level on the Kickstarter.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So, as I say, surround yourself with people who make you look good. That's how I play it.
Yeah, that's pro tip number one right there. So this is the 9th successful Kickstarter launch for you, but just it's even though every launch is its own thing, every launch has its own lessons. It's hard not to sometimes play the comparison game, and if you do play that game, this launch has sort of crushed your previous launches already in terms of backer support. Over 100 backers, more than I think your previous high. And you've got 17 days to go. So I'm curious, what do you attribute some of that growth to? And what have you caught lightning in a bottle here, or what's going on? How do you reckon?
That's the thing. I think there's an element of sometimes when I'm working on this book with someone who has their own fan base. Lucy, again, Lucy's also very good at promoting herself, which again, some of my collaborators are more reticent and leave that kind of thing to me. So she's got more of a presence, and I think is pulling a lot more people in, sort of from her end, where usually the promotional kind of stuff and it kind of the kind of pull of the book is it's usually me that's the draw, I suppose. But
or the one out there with the megaphone beating the drum, right?
Oh yeah, well I'm never off Twitter and social media banging on about these things.
And I will
something I learned from you really, to be honest, Tyler. You've got a limited set of free tools, and you've just got to use them.
Yeah, and I will say that if you're not following Fraser on Twitter, you're missing out, because routinely, like there are a few people I think that have mastered the sort of, I don't know what a one-liner, but or a one tweeter or whatever is, like the one-liner joke or the Twitter jokes. But you are hilarious, my friend, and your feed is a delight. So
Yeah, I mean, I kind of adopted Twitter wholeheartedly since I found it, and it's been an invaluable tool for me. I managed, I've actually got sort of writing work through Twitter. I work on, I do like sort of jokes and comedy graphics for sort of for corporate clients and stuff like that. Now through Twitter, just on the strength of these daft one-liners that you've been talking about.
yeah,
But again, where I find it really valuable is as a way of getting across stuff about the comics, and just trying to perfect that promotion. Yeah, it's the what's the word I'm looking for? The way you can trail your project for a long time, and just sort of tease it and then hammer it while you're campaigning and stuff like that, and then you can use it to do all your follow-ups. It's really good for, it's just really good, nice, easy communicative tool that you can use throughout your campaign just to try and build a bit of interest in your project.
yeah, yeah. Now, you've been someone I know that has been making comics for a long time, and sort of have been sort of in the indie scene and the UK scene for a while. And so I don't know if a history lesson is necessary, but I'm curious, as someone that has done the convention scenes and has sort of worked with a lot of creators for a while. Like, it does seem a little bit like this Kickstarter is sort of a new opportunity for yourself to actually find a new fan base and an international fan base. And I mean, as someone that's been in this game for a long time, like, what's that like? And how are you feeling like about the world of comics and your place in it, here and now?
Yeah, well, I mean, it obviously feels great to be reaching new backers. It's something that's really difficult to do. I mean, obviously, I've had various successful Kickstarters in the past, but on a relatively small scale. It's stuff that I'm happy enough with, just being on my own and stuff, and just wanting to make my comics. But yeah, I mean, it's usually I get 300 or so, 400 backers maybe, and it's usually it's all kind of single issues and stuff like that. So the totals aren't high. The totals aren't huge either. So this is the first time we've broken through 500 backers for a start. Never done that before. Never raised more than £5,000 before. Done that in this one, and yeah, it does seem to be getting to a different set of people. How that's happening, I'm not really sure. I'm putting it down to obviously collaborating with Lucy, whose A, stuff looks great and is very appealing, and B, also brings a kind of fan base of her own. But I'm also trying to do quite a lot of cross promotion with other campaigns. I think that's helping a bit.
Yeah.
Because I think there comes a certain point where you can't really rely on being seen on the search pages on Kickstarter and stuff like that, and you can't really rely on people continuing to respond to the tweets. So you then have to start literally trying to reach out to people who don't know you, and one of the best ways I've found of doing that is through cross promotion with other campaigns that are running at the time.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'll just say is, like, right now at this given time, there are actually more projects live on Kickstarter than I've ever seen. There's like close to 280 projects live last I checked.
Yeah,
That is that's significantly more than were live even before COVID. There was a big drop off in projects in April and May, but we've come back and then some. And I think conventions going away has been a part of that. New creators getting into the Kickstarter game as sort of the only or the biggest game in town has been a part of it. And so I don't think that trend is going to turn around anytime soon. But one of the things that is absolutely powerful is that when you can establish yourself on Kickstarter and your Kickstarter page sort of becomes this asset, right? Where every time Fraser launches a new Kickstarter, Kickstarter is sending out a message to alerting all of your former backers, hey, you guys might want to check this out. And I know you had, one of your best launch days ever.
That's massive. And that's how, we talk about like sort of incremental growth, about, gradually building an audience. Which again, me just being a sort of single, a single person kind of publisher, if you like. I put out my own stuff. I'm self-publishing stuff. So being able to build that audience, it's been slow, but it's been steady. And now, we've made that further leap. Hopefully, I'm fingers crossed we'll top out. Hopefully, 600 or more backers. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's a whole new tranche of potential backers. Man, the next big project is probably going to be next year. In fact, it will be next year, and it's going to be an Alex automatic trade. So like I say, if I can build a relatively nice audience, potential audience of 500-600 backers who might be interested in something like that, that's a higher end sort of, in terms of unit cost item than a single issue. So, the opportunity to get a wee bit more success and make a wee bit more money sort of gradually builds on the previous successes.
Absolutely. And so, with Indexed and a couple of the other books that you've done, The Edge Off, House of Sweets, you've focused on creating something that I know a lot of creators sort of avoid, but it's that one shot, right? The one shot story. And I'm curious, why one shots and what do you love about the one shot comic format? And then also, how do you make the decision on whether or not to go one shot or series?
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep telling myself no more one shots. Do a series or do a graphic novel, but I really do enjoy them. I do enjoy the sort of the discipline, the brevity of them, and just having to get it all into 24, 28, however many pages. I think House of Sweets was 32 pages. So as long as it's relatively brief. And that way you've got it's kind of like a wee movie.
Yeah.
I feel like rather than an HBO sort of series, if you like. And I do like that. I've always liked one shots. I've always liked really good one shots. The comics I remember from when I was a kid are maybe not one shots, but they're like single issue stories.
Mm.
It was always again, showing my age, but it was always a pleasure. I mean, I come from an era before comic shops where you kind of picked up, in the UK anyway, you picked up any American comics you could that came into local newsagents and stuff like that. And sometimes it'd be the second part of a 3-part story. Sometimes it'd be the last part and stuff. And that would be okay because there would still be comics.
Right.
But if you got a whole story in one, that was a really special thing. So it's always felt like a special thing to me. But yeah, I mean, economically, I guess I'll have to do a collection of them at some point. But yeah, it's they're not the most cost-effective thing to do. But again, I love the format and I love the brevity and the discipline of the story. So I keep saying I'm not going to do any more. There'll be one or two next year.
Yeah. Well, and it does give you the opportunity to work with creators who may be reluctant to jump on a mini series. I mean, like Ian Laurie, I just I love him, but a lot of times it's like I'd imagine he might balk on doing a series, but it's like, all right, you'll pull me back for one more one shot, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's the thing. I think, yeah, he's always semi-retired, isn't he?
And every time he says he's semi-retired, like his social feeds are more productive than ever. Like I've always noticed. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think Ian can stop. He can't stop producing artwork, and his wee sort of the wee sort of Procreate paintings he's done with the wee stories.
Yeah.
I keep trying to get him to do an art book of those, and hopefully we'll persuade him at one point. Because those are great, really, really dark, sinister stories that he does.
Yeah.
And
same here.
getting them back for more comics, you never know. I mean, as I say, we've done The Edge Off and House of Sweets together. So if I can put an interesting enough idea in front of him, we might get him back. I think I thought, I don't know. We're old friends. We've known each other for a long time. So I think he would, he'd come back for me. He'd come back for John as well, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We're in the process of getting ready to.
Back for him, to be honest, and just do his own thing. He's got so many superb ideas.
Yeah, every time I see he's got something new that he's noodling on, I'm like, send it over here. I love his stuff. And obviously we're working on the trade for Wailing Blade, which is the trade and the hardcover, and I know you're going to be a part of the Legends of the Wailing Blade, which we're doing, and hopefully we'll get Ian on that. But I also would eventually like to do a special hardcover collection of And Then Emily Was Gone, and see if we can't get some cool new back matter or something from Ian and John for that. So hopefully that'll come down the pike sooner rather than later.
Popular, yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah, and so like, I mean, what I like about what you've done is you sort of scratch the itch with the one shots, but then you've also been doing the serialization thing as well with your series Alex Automatic. Tell us a little bit about that series, and then also, it seems like you've been able to build a following and pick up a little bit of steam and new readers with every launch of that, which is one of the unique things about Kickstarter. How's that going, and where are you hoping to take that?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I think when you would, obviously when you start on Kickstarter and you don't really know what to expect, and you don't really know how you'll do, you've really only got sort of traditional comic book publishing sort of data, I suppose, or trends or conventions to go by. So it seemed natural enough that after Alex Automatic launched its first issue, we would get less readers, as tends to be the case in direct market books. But we have managed to build and get new readers every time. And I think being able to offer the digital options and the discounted sort of catch-up packages and stuff like that, and of course the original art and all that kind of thing, it always brings in new people and stuff. So that's all been great. Alex Automatic is, I guess, a kind of, what would you call it? A kind of psychedelic spy story about a guy who has been a secret agent who's been subjected to this illegal government program that's supposed to enhance his abilities, but what it actually does is it kind of scrambles his brain and leaves him sort of suffering with these delusions, where he thinks he's in a TV show in the 70s called Alex Automatic, where he's a cyborg super spy hero. And he occasionally in the story sort of flits into these delusions and doesn't really know the difference between fantasy and reality. So that's been a lot of fun to do. That's scratching a lot of itches for me in terms of it being quite a sort of personal story about identity and about disassociation and alienation. and also being able to play about with great fun things like, you know, the kind of look and styles of, you know, 70s sort of spy stuff like James Bond and obviously The Prisoner and stuff like that, and all the great ITC shows of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So
And
it's a
so
lot of
the
fun. And that sort of plays into the style of the artist on that series, who's James Corcoran, who has a wonderful kind of old school, I guess, sort of Milton Caniffy kind of style. And it's good, just this wonderful sort of, I don't know, I guess it's just a sort of classical British and European kind of sort of spy and adventure comics kind of look. So it's been a lot of fun, and we've got we've done 5 issues so far, 2 of them being double issues, and a couple of other side projects as well. So we're looking to put together a collection of that. What we've done so far next year, and that'll probably that'll top out at about 230, 240 pages, and you'll be able to pick that up.
Yeah, and so that'll be fun to get into the graphic novel space, which
I've not done that before.
Yeah, and because I think on Kickstarter, like there are still the trade waiters out there, as well as your diehard fans who, hey, they're going to support any launch that you do, and they've probably been waiting to collect it and trade.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You kind of you worry that I'm selling something that I've already sold to people, but I've heard from a lot of people that they're kind of trade waiting it, and they've been maybe backing it on digitally just to keep up with it, but they prefer a trade, and it opens up other markets, doesn't it? Because people who are kind of just their curiosity's piqued. They maybe won't buy a comic book because they don't have comic boxes at home. They don't really have storage space for them. But everybody's got bookshelves, so they might buy a trade if their curiosity's piqued, even though maybe they're not regular comic readers. So it's going to be worth a try, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And we've always found that it's nice to be able to sort of offer our trades in a couple different formats, and so we, like with our next launch, we'll be doing so both soft cover version and hardcover version. And what's nice is when you print those at the same time, you can actually save a little dollars and still provide your audience the ability to pick the pledge level that's right for them, pick the whether they want to go premium, semi-premium, or just stick with the digital. Sometimes that is the nice thing about Kickstarter, is that it's sort of the offer is the project, but backers can come in at any level.
I think that's great. A great thing about it as well, because you've always got people who and certainly in these sort of tough times when people are losing their jobs left and right and things like that. I've had a couple of people saying, "Look, I'm only able to back digitally just now because things are really tight," and that's fine. But you've always got people who come in at the higher end as well. It's great to be able to offer that range of rewards, because people appreciate it. They appreciate the choice.
Yeah, and that is that is one of the weird things, and I know a lot of, especially early on in the crisis, a lot of creators were sort of like, is it morally wrong or bankrupt to be launching a project in the midst of a tough time, a global pandemic worldwide? But my thought has always been a couple things. One, the launch isn't just about you, it's also about your creative team, everyone that's involved in the project, everyone that's going to be required to pull it together, be it your printers or anybody that's helping you market at the thing, anybody that's packing and shipping, the post office, all that stuff. Like if we can keep the economy going, it's up to us to do that. And then the other thing that probably talked about a little bit less is every one of these big events affects people differently. There are some people that as crazy it is, like business has never been better. Like if you happen to be a loan officer or a mortgage underwriter right now, like you are as busy as you've ever been, and there are people still with disposable income and probably less opportunities for recreation as movie theaters are continuing to be shut down or closing and everything. And so
exactly. You're right. I mean, all you're doing really is making an offer, and nobody's obliged to take it up.
Yeah.
I mean, usually within within a year or so of anything being offered on Kickstarter, you'll be able to pick up digital copies of my books for 99p, which is like, what, I don't know, about $1.50 year end. So I mean, I'm traditionally I don't charge an awful lot, and I like to make sure there is a cheap, budget option for people to be able to pledge if they want to, and if they can't, then that's I get it. I get the nobody's obliged to support me or other Kickstarters.
Yeah.
If money's tight, that's fair enough. But at the same time, I agree. I think people are going to need stuff to read. They're going to need stuff to get through. The additional downtime that a lot of people have had, and like you say, if you can't go to the pub, you can't go to restaurants, you can't go to the cinema, you can't go swimming or any of those things. There's your choices start to narrow, and I think people are still going to need their comic fix, I think. And especially when we see how this is kind of it's kind of affected the direct markets, affected the big publishers. Most of them are managing to get their books out now, but there was quite a wee while when nothing very much was coming out. That might get better. That situation's going to evolve as time goes on, isn't it? So I don't think there's any shame in launching your book, especially, like I say, if it's a project you believe in, it's a project you like, you're not obliging anybody. I don't think there really is. I mean, as my instinct is, there's no really an ethical issue in making an offer to people. If they can't afford it, then that's fair enough, and I do sympathise. But
absolutely. And one other thing that I wanted to ask you about while we're here, I know you had sort of I was following it on Twitter, and you had a big health scare a while back.
Oh yeah.
I spent some time in the hospital, and sort of there was some scary stuff, and so we were all definitely pulling for you on this side of the pond. I'm just curious, has going through that experience, do you feel like that's impacted your work, or just, because it also seemed like you've been sort of, had a bit of a fire lit under you with all these launches and growth, and just ever since. I'm just curious.
What would you say? It's been a reminder that time is short.
Yeah.
Do it now, kind of thing. I was tootling along. Beginning of 2019, I had the most productive few months as a writer ever. I was writing every day. I was banging out scripts, feeling really, really good. And then all of a sudden I started feeling ill. Ended up being quite a serious illness. I was in hospital for a while. It was touch and go as to whether or not I would have the use of my kidneys. And thankfully, they've recovered to the point where I can live more or less normally. I have to take a fairly hefty drug regimen, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse, and it could have been, a lot worse. So yeah, that's absolutely right. It's just maybe time is short. You never know when you're going to get called upstairs. So do what you want to do now, as and try and make room in your life to get the things you really want to do done. I mean, I guess we've all got bills to pay, we've all got our families, and whatever it is that we have that's holding us back from making a start on what we really want to do. But try and find that time. because you know, the longer you leave it, you know, the less likely it is it will happen, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it certainly it certainly lit a fire under me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's a great message to have, and you know, hopefully everybody that will listen to this doesn't have to go through what you went through to to take action on it. But
I'll just listen to my platitudes instead, and just yeah. I mean, it was yeah. It's, these kind of things happen, you know. I mean, there's you know, people, you know, people get ill, you know, and crises crop up, you know, and
yeah,
you know, I'm just really, really lucky to be able to get back to more or less normal life about a year later. But yeah, it's you know, get on with what it is you really want to do. Even if you're just going, even if you accept, like I do, I guess, that it's only ever going to be a kind of part-time thing, a gradual thing. Just try and do what you want to do to the best of your ability, and just see what happens.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this latest launch. It's definitely taken off and sort of taken a sort of has a mind of its own. It's growing, and definitely looking at a good chance that you'll hit 600 or more backers with 17 days to go. We know we have Alex Automatic trade coming up in the new year. Anything else you want to tease that we should keep our eyes peeled for, or coming down the line?
Oh, there's loads of things, you know, sort of half done. But to be honest, nothing I would really mention just now, because I honestly don't know when it's going to be ready. I've got loads of stuff written. That's the easy part, I guess. It's let's like you say,
Yeah.
putting together the teams, and getting the finances in place to get the books made and stuff like that. So so plenty in the pipeline, but I'll keep what's coming under my hat, other than the Alex trade. But yeah, expect to see another 2 or 3 projects next year from me.
Awesome. And so we'll follow that Twitter feed for laughs and teasers in the meantime. Fraser, thank you so much for spending some time with the Comics Launch audience. And I want to just again say thank you for sharing your insights, your knowledge, and congrats on the latest book.
Okay, thanks, man. Cheers.
All right. Take care.